I just wondered how real this was, this whole thing about Joe Biden. How real is it? Is it another spin? Is it another game? When you look at the footage of Trump in it, you can tell it's not real. Please see that it's not real. Is this another spin? Why is the deal? Is it to make sure Trump wins? Because they said, oh, Trump's doing so badly in the polls. Well, I'm sure he won't after this. Do you believe any of this? Is it all a game? What's your thoughts? I'm just going to, because obviously I watched it earlier on, so I'm just going to put it back to the beginning. And here we go.
As I mentioned earlier, there's been an explosive report that has revealed links between Joe Biden and the Ukraine energy firm that his son worked for, despite the presidential candidate's repeated claims he was not involved in Hunter Biden's business dealings. Now, the report in the New York Post has prompted questions about Biden's integrity as a politician and whether he covered up his actions. Now, joining me now is US commentator Christopher Steer. Christopher, thank you so much for joining me.
G'day, Corey. Great to be with you.
Now, these are extraordinary October surprises, as they say in the presidential election parlance. Do you think there's much to them, or are the Democrats going to be able to bat them away?
Corey, I think it's the biggest political story in my lifetime. It shows the Biden family, to paraphrase Rudy Giuliani, the Biden crime family, as being explicitly involved for decades in using Joe Biden's position to leverage money from countries, first from Iraq, second from China, third again we see from Ukraine, in the hundreds of millions. It's not just one of these go-away stories. The shame of it is that the left, the media left in the US, is hardly reporting it. It's a real story. It's real evidence. And it's been held by the FBI, actually, and we should know why, for the last year or so. It's the biggest story that we've seen in many, many, many years.
It is amazing, and I saw Rudy Giuliani put up a video today. Now, he's got all the documents, apparently. He's got the whole treasure trove. It's been dumped in his lap. And one of the documents is a text message that's between Hunter Biden and his sister. And in it, he infers that half of everything that he earned was going into Joe Biden's pocket. Did you see that?
I did see that. It's a bit like the Soprano family, but probably worse. You've got Joe Biden on tape. You've got him admitting in front of an audience that he extorted money. He blackmailed the Ukrainian government into sacking the prosecutor who was investigating into his son's dealings over there, where he was getting up to about $180,000
Look at him.
a month.
He's not there. That's a green screen.
Sitting on a board that he knew nothing about at the time.
Look
when
at
he
Joe
was
Biden.
a desperately ill drug addict. If that's not buying influence, I don't know what is. But of course...
Yeah, I was just going to say, this is the extraordinary thing, that these allegations or suggestions have been around for quite some time, and yet the mainstream media in America are so partisan, hyper-partisan, that they've refused to cover them or dismiss them as fake news, or they've projected it onto Donald Trump and saying he's behind all of this. This must be damning of the mainstream media in the States as well.
It's appalling. And those of us that have worked in journalism know there's two kinds, real journalists and fake journalists, and Trump's certainly been...
You're all fake.
The irony of all this is that the allegations of a Russia conspiracy were made against Trump by the left, when in fact it's the Bidens, it's the Clintons, it's all of them that have actually been running a conspiracy against the duly elected
all of
President
you.
of the United States.
You're all doing
Add
it.
to that the people in high roles at the FBI, the Department of Justice, and more lately, the CIA, who've been holding onto documents and refusing to release them, who've done the same thing and conspired against the sitting president. It's a huge story, and now the proof's out.
Yeah, well, of course, the US President Donald Trump didn't miss a trick today.
Look at this.
Campaign hustings and
Look at Trump in a moment.
A whole lot of vim and vigour about him. Here's what he had to say about this on the campaign trail.
Look at that.
For access to his vice
Look at it, and look at the people. Just look at the people. It's not real. None of that's real.
Russia.
Now, Christopher, you probably detected he's got a new burst of energy. How do you think this is going to impact his campaign? He's well behind in the polls, if you can believe them. Can he pull another November surprise and beat the Democratic frontrunner?
Well, I don't believe the polls, and I don't think it'll be a surprise. I think he'll be just another version of Donald Trump outing the truth come election day. He's sure he's got the verve, but he's been dropping hints about this for quite a while. So don't be surprised when you find out how much work the Trump machine, the legislature that work around Trump have been doing on this to get to this point of evidence. And remember, we need to tell the people that it's not just made up. It's not a document that landed in Rudy Giuliani's lap. It comes from Biden Hunter's laptop, which he left in for repair and then forgot
Look at
about.
that. Oh, I don't know. It just doesn't look right to me.
Thousands and thousands of emails and documents and memos from Hunter Biden's own laptop. That's what they've got. That's Alibaba's cave. They found it.
And I noticed today there was some in the leftist media over there claiming the documents were stolen, but they conveniently ignored the fact that Hunter Biden put it in there. He refused to pay his bill. He didn't come and pick it up. And as
how inconvenient
said, if he
or
paid
convenient.
$85, he's forfeited his right to it. So the public service is being done by the incompetence of Hunter Biden.
It has been, and the best tweet I saw all day was that Hunter Biden was worth far too much money at that time to worry about a mere $2,000 laptop in for repair.
Gee, that's a pretty rise up the ladder for a bloke with not many qualifications. Do you think, Christopher, if I can go back a little bit, remember the campaign against Hillary Clinton? Donald Trump had labelled her as Crooked Hillary. She
and
had
doesn't
her own
arrest her.
server issues, which Obama denied participating in or knowing anything about. That was later found to be wrong. Clinton had apparently deleted 30,000 emails in contravention of a desire. And then when he became president, Trump decided not to pursue a prosecution against her. Do you think that was a strategic mistake, or did he just give her the benefit of the doubt and has lived to rue the day?
Well, I don't think that one's over, Corey. I think there's a lot more to come on that. I mean, if you believe Hillary, she said the emails were related to Chelsea's birthday and yoga. Well, of course, Judicial Watch, a right-wing organisation that does a lot of investigation and brings up a lot of lawsuits, has just been supported by a court decision that forces the IRS over there, the tax office in the US, to release the Clinton Foundation's tax filings. And we're going to see a lot of money swimming around in that. The other tax filing that should be out at this stage is Joe Biden's. How does he own what
all
he
of them,
owns,
you mean?
having
All
spent
of them.
half a century in politics?
We've been put into communism.
Today is about or when he was a senator, was about $140,000, and yet he's worth in the hundreds of millions. Now that's a tax return I'd like to see.
Well, it's just extraordinary how people go into a life of public service and leave as hundreds of millionaires or even greater. We've seen the
it is, isn't it? It's been going on for years. What, and you're just reporting it now?
Left office, they were broke and in debt to the tunes of tens of millions of dollars, and suddenly they're worth hundreds themselves. There's a lot of questionable practices that appear to be going on in US politics.
Well, Corey, remember when Hillary Clinton sold 23% of the US uranium stockpile to Russia when she was Secretary of State?
Treason.
And you can't believe that. How did it happen?
That's treason, to be selling off your government stuff.
To Moscow and picked up a cool $500,000 for a lunchtime speech over there. So, yep, sort of makes eye
They've got
New South Wales
got some
pretty
ties
small,
to. The Democrats seem to have a lot of ties to Russia. When
go back to there a minute. Just go back to here.
Well, it's just extraordinary how people go into a life of public service and leave as hundreds of millionaires or even greater. We've seen the same in the Clinton Foundation or campaign. Of course, when Bill Clinton left office, they were broke and in debt to the tunes of tens of millions of dollars, and suddenly they're worth hundreds themselves. There's a lot of questionable practices that appear to be going on in US politics.
Well,
Look up here, look at his shoulder and go across. Look, there's a face up there. Do you see it? Do you see it? Just below the Sky News, there's a face in there.
And you can't believe that. How did
Can you see it?
Not long after that, ex-President Bill wandered off to Moscow and picked up a cool $500,000 for a lunchtime speech over there. So, yep, sort of makes ICAC in New South Wales look pretty small, doesn't it?
The Democrats seem to have a lot of ties to Russia. When Hunter Biden apparently received $3.5 million, or his firm that he's associated with, from the wife of the mayor of
something's
Moscow,
going past my house.
Now, no one's been able to explain what that was for either.
Probably because he's such a good bloke, Corey, that'd have to be it, wouldn't it?
Well, you're a good bloke. I'm a good bloke too, but no one's sending me $3.5 million. Maybe they are to you, Christopher. I hope you're so lucky.
Probably not.
Let's make a joke of it.
Not at all.
Well,
Look, I think it is the biggest story in decades over there.
And guess what? Biden should go. He should resign right now.
Because Donald Trump is the sworn enemy of the establishment that has created this swamp, as he's christened it.
Biden needs to resign.
It's like a stagnant lake. It is just vile. And I think he's the only one with perhaps the temerity, the braggadocio, or just the sheer will to drain it and fix it up. Do you think he can?
Look, I think he can, and the whole reason that this has all been pushed at Trump over the last 3 years is because he said his number one role when he was elected, and the number one promise he made, was to drain the swamp. And these are the swamp creatures that are coming at him. And it is a huge election, because if Biden is president, he'll probably be there for 5 minutes. And a person who's so far to the left, they're almost a communist, Kamala Harris, will step in because she's only a heartbeat away from the presidency. We've got a lot to worry about in Australia because of
Does he look real walking across there? I don't think so.
China and their relationships with Russia, and the fact that the US will effectively become a socialist economy. They'll lose their place in the world. They'll descale their defence. They'll lose their place in world money markets, and a lot of their trade will go down if she steps in and the people behind her step in. So we in Australia should be concerned about the election over there this time.
Well, Christopher Sear, thank you so much for your time tonight. It's fascinating, and the next few weeks are going to be wonderful to watch.
Great to talk to you, Corey.
Well, all that's happened, right? Biden needs to step down right now till he's investigated and all that, because of what they've said. You saw Trump coming in. He didn't look real. Those are all made up stories, and they're promoting that. They're also saying that Trump's well behind in the votes, but I'm not surprised because he's bringing in communism. And this whole thing is just absolutely incredible. I'm just putting it out as is. I'm not into it all. I put a thumbs up there because I can't. Anyway, how could this man have been allowed to run for presidency, Biden, if all this is there? Why is it everybody's crooked? Well, we know where they're crooked. We need them to come down. But is this another psyop, as per usual? You know what they're like. You know what they do to us. I've just got to turn my screen recorder off. Anyway, here's my screen recorder. Thanks for watching, and what's your thoughts?